Welcome to Frank and Upfront live on audiophile for audiophiles. Today is Monday, April 2nd, 2020. No, April 3rd, rather. I'm sorry. April 3rd, 2023. I am your host, Mr. Franklin, and welcome to all of you who are joining me on this program. I hope that you enjoy your stay and that this episode will edify the heart and ear of the listener and consider what I have to say for the topic of today's show. This week's topic: religion was designed to block you from your spiritual awakening. But before we get into the main topic of the show, here is an item of news coming from out of New York City. Former US President Donald Trump is being indicted with a crime as it pertains to a payment that he made to a porn star. And he's due to appear in court tomorrow, Tuesday, April 4th. And all while he is preparing to seek re-election next year. Next year is another election year. And according to an article from the BBC, written, let me see, right now I'm having 3:18. So 12 hours ago would be 3:18 a.m. 3:18 in the morning. On the website of bbcnewscanada.com. Oh no, I'm sorry. Let me, it's on the BBC website. So if they're in London, then 3:18 a.m. would be 8 hours later. So I would imagine maybe around 12 or 1 p.m. GMT. This article on the BBC is written by staff reporter Tom Geoghegan, and it is titled Trump Indictment, a simple guide to what it means. I'm going to read verbatim here, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm only going to read the first couple of paragraphs, and then we're going to skip over some important points and then get into our main show. And the article goes as follows. Former US President Donald Trump is being charged with a crime in relation to a payment he made to a porn star. The man who spent 4 years in the White House will be fingerprinted, given a mugshot photo, and brought before a judge, and brought before a judge on Tuesday. This is happening as he campaigns to become president again in the 2024 elections. Here is what the case is about. On Monday, which is today, Mr. Trump will travel from his Florida home to New York City ahead of his arrest and court appearance the next day. Hey, listen, man. They never arrested Nixon. Nixon was smart, even though that was around the Watergate scandal and it was more political than personal. Nixon resigned and Ford gave him an immediate pardon as soon as he took office. Immediate pardon. He will be the first president in history to literally be arrested. And over something personal, no doubt, where the incoming president can't give him a pardon. Or he can, but it's not a public issue of national security. So the incumbent president it would be in his best interest to stay out of it. But it's ironic that they're arresting him not for the January 6th insurrection, but for something as personal as him paying off a porn star for sex. Let's continue. He's expected to be released on bail by the court and will return to his Mar-a-Lago home on Tuesday evening. A jury in New York last week voted to indict Mr. Trump, which means they believed there was enough evidence to bring criminal charges against him. We don't know yet, or we don't yet know what those charges are. But for weeks, the jury has been hearing evidence about a payment made to buy the silence of a porn star called Stormy Daniels. And let me just take a pin right there and say, Stormy Daniels might not be the only porn star or actress or celebrity, porn or otherwise. She might be the most public porn star or celebrity in general. But there may be others we know nothing about. I won't call names, but you can use your imagination. So we don't know if this recent indictment is relating to Stormy Daniels or relating to another actress, porn or otherwise. We don't know. Let's continue. It happened before the 76-year-old was president, just prior to the 2016 elections, in which he won against Hillary Clinton. What is Trump accused of? Stormy Daniels says she had an affair with Mr. Trump in 2006, which he has always denied. 2006 is, of course, 10 years before he became president. 10 years before. And I would think 17 years ago or 18. I think 18 years ago. In 2016, she tried to sell her account of what happened to the media. Mr. Trump's lawyer, Michael Cohen, paid her $130,000 USDs to keep quiet. That kind of payment is called hush money. That is not illegal, but what has got Mr. Trump into trouble is how Mr. Cohen's reimbursement was recorded in his accounts. He's accused of falsifying his business records by saying the payment was for legal fees. I thought he was smart, man. No, of course not. I'm being sarcastic. As it happened, just before Americans were due to vote, it may also violate laws about payments that help an election campaign. Oh, I see. As it happened, because it happened just before the elections, it may also violate laws about payments that may help election campaign. Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. So, you know what? With that now, they might go from there to trying to indict him as it relates to trying to encourage or facilitate or be complicit in the taking place of an insurrection against the US Capitol. Let's continue. There will now be a trial where Mr. Trump will make his case, but we don't know when that will be. He has denied any wrongdoing and says the charges are politically motivated. We're going to skip the one that says, is Trump going to jail if found guilty? I don't care. No, but I do what I have to care about. I don't really. It's not relevant right now. Wasn't Trump investigated before? Let's go to the one that says, can Trump still run for president? And the article reads, yes. There's nothing in the US Constitution to prevent Mr. Trump from continuing his election campaign. Now he is being charged. It should have read know that he is being charged. Even if he was imprisoned, he could say oh my gosh. Even if he was imprisoned, he could theoretically still run for president and win an election behind bars. That's funny. We have never seen that before in the history of of this country. He would. There would be lots of precedents being made. He will go down in history as setting the precedents for many details that are considered unpresidential. So then let me ask you now, if he wins behind bars, does the incumbent president, does the outgoing president give him a pardon so he can serve in the White House? Or does he serve behind bars? Or, here's the thing, does he serve under house arrest in the White House? That would be unprecedented. No president in the history of this country has ever served under house arrest, ever. It's possible he would be the first. That would be a very teachable moment in the history of US politics, and certainly here on this program, where I will be sure to cover those events if it should take place. Would they remove him from a prison cell and put him in the White House, but to serve out his sentence during his presidency under house arrest? That would be very interesting to see. And I kind of actually want to see. So we'll see. So let's continue, and then we will get into our final topics. And you know, let's continue. But there are practical considerations. A prolonged legal fight and a trial will be a major diversion from a presidential campaign in time and energy and the scheduling of election rallies. Okay, all I have to say is that while they are indicting Trump over bribing Stormy Daniels with hush money to keep quiet, they should also they should also seize the opportunity to indict him for the insurrection of January 6th. And with that said, we'll be taking a break right here. When we come back, we'll be getting into our main topic of discussion. Religion was designed to block you from your spirituality, and I hope you'll join me then. Keep it locked on Frank and Upfront. Welcome back to Frank and Upfront Live, an audiophile for audiophiles. This week's topic: religion was designed to block you from your spiritual consciousness. So, with that said, we are now in the week of what they call Holy Week in the Christian church, and certainly in Catholicism. Yesterday, April 2nd, was Palm Sunday. This coming Friday is Good Friday. And this coming Sunday, on the 9th, will be Easter, which is when the episode, this particular live stream, the podcast version of it will be set for release. And so, even though we don't celebrate these holidays on this program, once again, I felt that now is the best time, because it is trending, to talk about the ills of spirituality. Did I say the ills of spirituality? I'm sorry. The ills of religion against your spirituality. So, just to give you a summary of a comparison between religion and spirituality. Religion is man made, and religion, because it's man made, it is often used by people who seek to control, people who are tyrants. And so they use the Bible to gaslight the public. They prey on the most vulnerable people, members of society, the homeless, the unemployed, the fatherless, the widow, the neglected child, the rape victim, all these people. People who are seeking answers. They're the ones they target, the people who are more susceptible to follow anything that has a soothing feel. And these people are so used to being roughed up by life that the first person who appears gentle, they will follow them by default. They will follow them like a bunch of city mice following the Pied Piper. And that's how you get a cult following. It's to start bit by bit and you build up your numbers. Next thing you know, you have a cult following. Which brings me to my next point, religion. Most of them are cults. Because not only are they man made, but you often find that religion is a group effort, is a group effort. Why do you need a group to pray for you? And why do you need the pastor to pray for you? Which, by the way, be very careful who you allow to lay hands on you and pray for you. And that's whether in or out of church. Be careful who touches you. They love to touch. I don't like being touched. I'm not touchy-feely myself, so I don't like being touched. So I don't join church. They love to touch. Be careful who touch you. Some of these people have demons on them, and their demons will transfer onto you if you let them touch you. Which brings me to my next point now. Why do you need a group of people praying for you or the pastor praying for you, and none of these people promise to be any saintlier than you? Some of them have worse flaws than you have. So why then do you need them praying for you when you can pray for yourself? When you have, if you want, you can have access to your Creator. And you can let your Creator, you can pray for yourself. And you can have a personal relationship with your Creator. If that is so, why then do you need your Creator praying? Or for that matter, why then do you need the pastor praying for you? In my personal life, there are only very, very few people whom I allow to pray for me. And it's people who I know, who resonate with me spiritually. And I know that they're much like myself. I don't let anybody else pray for me. Those prayers are null and void. They will not be honored. Because I don't know where they're coming from in their hearts. So then let me ask a question. How many of you actually know your pastors? How many of you actually know your pastors? Because I only allow people who know me to pray for me. And likewise, I only pray for the people I know because I also know I have a responsibility to stay out the way of other people's business. And if I don't know somebody, I have no business praying for them because I don't know what they want. And I could be thinking I'm fixing their problems, and I'm not. I could be causing more damage depending on what they want. You see where I'm coming from with this? I don't know what they want. So I can't possibly pray for them. That would be careless. I could pray a general prayer of well-being for everybody, but to pray for someone individually, I don't know what they want. I don't want to get in the way of what they really want. And quite frankly, I don't care what they want because I don't know them either. That's for them. That's on them to pray for themselves. Good Samaritans can be good too, they can be good. But they can also, there's a dark side to being a good Samaritan. It's a thankless job. It goes unappreciated. And sometimes people end up hating you and think you're annoying because you think you're fixing something and you end up causing more harm than good. You're not helping. Back off. Especially when them tell you say them not want your help. And you still have forced the issue. At that point, you're just being selfish now. It's virtue signaling, and it's done with the most evil intent at that point. The most evil intent. At that point now, you're just being selfish. Being a bully. So if if you're trying to be responsible and you wouldn't pray for somebody you don't know, why would you trust someone who you don't know to pray for you? Why would you automatically give undeserving or undeserved trust? Why would you give undeserved trust to a pastor or a deacon just because they have a title of authority within the church? You trust them because of a title of authority? Because they're bishop so and so and father so and pastor so and so? Haven't you heard of the pastors who are pedos who are touching up the kids and the altar boys and all these things? Are they deserving your trust? Obviously not. That could be your son or your nephew whom he's molesting. Obviously not. So, if there's another pastor who you don't know, who haven't been found out, or even if he has no such intentions, you don't know, either way, why would you trust his prayer over your life more than you trust your own prayer over your own life? Why not stay home and pray for yourself? Some people are like, but I don't want to stay home on a Sunday morning. It's so boring. Well, okay, change up your house. Do something. Clean the house. Go do laundry. Cook. Do something. Do something. Change up your environment. Or better yet, just sleep later on a Sunday morning and wake up and make breakfast. I'd rather be in my bed than in church on a Sunday morning. Meanwhile, when you're in charge of your own spiritual path, you do so on your terms. There are no rules. Some churches have dress code rules for women: no bright makeup, no short skirts, no this, no that. Men in their suits, women in their Sunday best, and all these things. And you should be able to dress as you feel like, because all those rules are means of control, which proves my earlier point. What is it about not dressing up in your Sunday best that is so sinful and wicked? Is God gonna punish you for wearing jeans and sneakers to church, or is he gonna punish you for not abandoning abandoning your spiritual path and not staying true to your path? Which is which? What's he gonna punish you for? These things are not very important. Come as you are, they say. I'm not saying be shabby and be sloppy. No. But present the best version of your means of self expression. And no church has the right to command or dictate your dress code. And first of all, that is unconstitutional. That is, your dress code is protected in the First Amendment of the Constitution, freedom of expression. You can change your hair however which way you want. Now, am I saying get caught up in worldly things to the point where you neglect your purpose? No. And if those worldly things are going to be a distraction, then yeah, you might want to get rid of them for a while at least. But if they're not going to be a distraction and you are disciplined, there's no reason why you can't enjoy those things: the hairstyle, the clothes, the shoes. All I'm simply saying is don't give it a higher priority than your fellow man. I think that's fair. Don't give it a higher priority than your fellow man. That's all. But apart from that, if you can be responsible, dress as you want, come as you are. And that's something you can do without scrutiny in the privacy of your living room. in the privacy of your bedroom, in the privacy of your car. Turn your car into an altar. Turn your bedroom into an altar. Pray, fast, do what you will. So, the long and short of all of this, religion is a group effort and spirituality is more of a personal journey. That's not dictated the pace, the direction. None of those are being dictated by man, by a group or by any other entity outside of yourself. Your relationship with your creator is a personal one, and only you know what the voice of God sounds like to you. Only you know that. Learn to discern what that even sounds like to begin with. The voice of God, I mean. Learn to discern what the voice of God sounds like to you. It would sound different to you than it would sound for other people. Don't worry about what it sounds like for other people. Worry about yourself. What does the voice of your creator sound like to you? You should know he's your creator. I don't know what he sounds like to you. I only know what he sounds like to me. He's my creator. Of course, I would know what he sounds like to me. But sometimes there are distractions in life where, we have a difficult time at first when we're younger. That's why I'm saying learn to discern. If you don't know, learn to discern and get back to the source of knowing who you are by knowing who your creator is. He designed you. Your spirit comes from him. If you know your creator, you know yourself. It is pivotally important to block out distractions and know yourself. It is pivotally important to block out distractions and know yourself. And I would also like to say as well that because you're following, when you join church, when you join religion, because you're following someone's program, it is distracting you from your own path. You're abandoning your own path to join church. Say, for example, you could have been a nurse, but you end up instead being a teacher. But it's not your path to be a teacher. So you're going to suck at being a teacher because you were meant to be a nurse. And the kids you teach will suffer and you will suffer because you're in the wrong place. That's what happens when you join church. You abandon your path and follow their program. And they don't even tell you. They repress your knowledge of yourself and your knowledge of who you are and your capabilities and your potential and tell you about all these kind of. They don't tell you how to be powerful. They don't teach you your self-worth. At least maybe now some of them are doing so. Now that we have all these narcissism channels on YouTube exposing the truth about that disorder. Now they are teaching and talking about it a little bit. But before they weren't. So they're repressing your knowledge of self and your potential. And if you often pick the wrong friends and the wrong life partner, you're repeating trauma bonds from your childhood. And you're picking people who are more or less the same characteristics that your parents had. And you wonder why your life got better. That's why. That is why. So when you follow your own path and you discover yourself through your creator, you know your self-worth. You know what, if you don't even know what you want really, if you don't even know what you really want, you know what you will not put up with because you know your self-worth. And you know that you would rather be fired than to take orders from a corrupt boss on a toxic, abusive job. There will always be another job. There will be 10,000 other jobs. I would rather be fired and collect unemployment for a little while until I get my next job than put up with this crap because I know my worth. So that's one thing that church will never teach you. Church teaches you, oh, forgive and forget. Turn the other cheek. Why? So they could slap me twice? They already slapped me once. I don't want to get slapped twice. Turn the other cheek. You turn the other cheek. Anyhow, funny how they're telling you to turn the other cheek, but they wouldn't turn the other cheek themselves. So why would they assume? What is it about us that they would assume that we should accept the lesser by default and them the greater? And that we should automatically put our trust in them no matter what wrong they do and automatically respect them no matter how they treat us? No. That is exactly what I mean when I say religion was designed to block you from your spiritual awareness. They're telling you to turn the other cheek, but you can arrive at your own conclusion, which is likely what will happen if you go the spiritual route, go through spirituality instead of religion. When you choose a spiritual path in life, there are no distractions, people telling you what to do when you could come to your own conclusions, telling you how to think when you could come to your own conclusions. If you're a grown man and you need another grown man to teach you or tell you what your conclusion is or show you or to get or to present to you a gift wrapped, perfectly packaged conclusion that you didn't work on yourself, then you're acting or performing in the capacity of a child. That's what a boy does. You're a man. That's where we separate the boys from the men. And the dog agrees with me. Anyhow, so it is the moment you are a fully grown adult, it is now your responsibility to charter your own path. Don't allow anyone to steal that satisfaction from you. And I'm certain that you know there are those who will try. There are those who will try for no other reason but that they're mischievous and they don't want to see you being a fully functional, responsible adult. There are people who are adamantly, vehemently, and actively against that. Know who they are and cut them off. They deserve this connection. Religion would never allow you to cut them off. Spirituality, on the other hand, does. And spirituality use that beating stick of eternal hellfire, hold it over your head to keep you enmeshed. Which, by the way, reminds me of a certain cliche, but it's an accurate cliche that someone said about religion versus spirituality. Religion is for those who are afraid of hell, and spirituality is for those who already been to hell and back. Let me say it again. Religion is for those who are afraid of hell, and spirituality is for those who already been to hell and back. And so therefore, they're not afraid of anything, including their own personal internal thoughts that's amplified by a LSD acid trip or a mushroom trip when seeking a path of spiritual enlightenment. That they often take to enhance their internal thoughts and feelings when seeking, while on a path of spiritual enlightenment, seeking answers to life and experiences and all the greater questions in life, the deeper thoughts. They're not even afraid of their own thoughts. No matter how horrible it is, they say that those trips amplify what's already going on internally. Some people struggle. Some people struggle with dyslexia, struggle with bipolar disorder, struggle with paranoid schizophrenia. It's suppressed until they take a trip, and the trip brings out those things out of them, brings it out. Brings out the bipolar mood swings, brings out the paranoia. It's almost like holding up a mirror to Caliban's hideous deformities. When faced with a mirror of yourself, not as you portray to the world, but yourself as you are internally, it should cause many of us to be very uncomfortable. And that's what the trip does. Oftentimes, it holds up the mirror to Caliban's hideous deformities and show him not as he wishes to see himself, and not as he wishes the world to view him, but as he really is. And Caliban, with his big ego, can handle it. So it makes him angry and make him smash the mirror, which makes him even uglier when the mirror is cracked. Then he sees a more deformed version of himself that makes him even uglier. That makes him only angrier. So all forms of spirituality, including the LSD acid trips that many, or the ayahuasca retreats and all these things, shows you a mirror of your internal self, not your external, your internal self. And it amplifies whatever mental illness may have been laying dormant within you. It's going to amplify all of those things. And those could be very feverishly hellish experiences. And if you don't have a strong mind, you can't handle it. That's why it is advised for 17-year-olds to not use those psychedelic substances and to wait until they're older, at least 25. When the brain is more fully developed, at least 25. But if your brain is developing as an adolescent or young adult, it is recommended that you don't touch the stuff. You want to experiment and feel like you're grown? Have a beer. A beer will not hurt you. Have a beer, but not those things. Nothing that will alter your mind. Nothing that will alter your mind. Okay, so those can be feverishly hellish experiences, whatever you see on the trips. Some people see otherworldly entities and all these things. But all these things, they're not external. They're coming from within. It's what your mind manufactures. You get to go deeper into your mind. That's what that's what THC and even THC is a joke compared to ayahuasca. That's what these other psychedelics help you to do. And because of these things that you saw in your own mind, that terrifies you, you have already been to hell and back. Not only your own internal, not only your own external experiences caused by others, but your own internal thoughts. You've been to hell and back. So, therefore, after many, many years of sin and suffering, I realize people become comfortable with their own demons. And not that they're complacent, but rather that they're familiar. They're so familiar that they would not interrupt their life path just to flee from their demons, but to confront them, face them, and defeat them. Religion doesn't teach you that. Okay? Unfiltered Truth has entered the live studio. Welcome, welcome. So, religion does not teach you to face your demons, but spirituality will teach you to do that. And I want to welcome Crazy Lady to the studio. Welcome. If you want to call the show, now is a good time to do so. Uh-oh. Call back, please. I think I missed your call. So, religion is for people who are afraid of hell. Spirituality is for people who've been to hell and back, and oftentimes their own eternal hell. So they ain't scared of nothing at a certain point. They ain't scared of nothing. And sin and suffering will toughen you up and give you tough skin so you can survive life. So you take more risk and more chances. And with the risk and the chances, you also gain more wisdom. The older you get, the wiser you get. But it's not just chronological aging that will give you wisdom. If you spend the next 10 years on your couch, you will learn nothing in comparison to the person who has been out there in the world taking risks for the past 6 months. They will learn more than you. So it's not so much chronology as much as it is mileage, the mileage of experience, the experience of taking risks. And the fearlessness for taking risks that come from living a life of sin and suffering. That the cowardly religious folks tend to shy away from, as opposed to the spiritual people who are not afraid to take chances that will lead them, first of all, keep them on the right path and lead them to the answer of their destiny, the destiny of the spirit. And here is what else you learn from spirituality as well. Your identity is not your body, but your soul. So between your age, race, and gender, the only thing that doesn't change in the soul is your gender. You remain in the masculine or the feminine regardless. That's why so many people from the LGBT community they often say that they were born men in women's bodies and vice versa. Why is that? Their souls were mismatched with their gender, the gender of their earthly bodies at birth. So they say. And who am I to question them? He who feels it knows it. I don't know that. They know. They live in those bodies. I don't. So who am I to say? So the only thing that does not change is your gender, your race, and your contemporary generation could change. Well, definitely your generation will change as time goes on. Especially, this is more evident. This is more evident as far as reincarnation is concerned. In this lifetime, you might be human. In the next lifetime, you might be a cat or a dog or a bird or a tree. In this lifetime, you might be Jewish. In the next lifetime, you might be Asian. And your spiritual beliefs often come from the culture in which you were born. Or I should say more accurately, your religious beliefs. Your religious beliefs come from the culture in which you were born. So if you're born Jewish, you're going to think that your religion has it right and that everybody else has it wrong. Likewise, if you're born Christian, you're going to think that the Christians have it right and everybody else and the Jewish have it wrong. But for all you know, you could have been Jewish in the past life. You don't know that. So based on how you reincarnate, you're going to believe that the culture of your birth has it right in every lifetime, and that can't be true. So then who really has it right? The path ahead is not religion, it's spirituality, your own personal journey. Not these cultural labels they slap on you at birth. Say, for example, in this lifetime, I am Jamaican. If I was born Japanese instead, it wouldn't change my personality. It shouldn't change my personality. If I was born German or Danish, it shouldn't change my personality. Only my race and my language would change, but not my personality. The core, the inner core of my personality. would still remain intact, or at least it should. Now, do you pick up on little cultural um, idiosyncrasies as you go along? Yes, that is the purpose of the journey of the soul, to learn. So you will pick up on things, but don't let those things you pick up on change the core of your being. And that also includes religion as well. The core must be protected and must remain intact at all times. So the purpose of spirituality that religion will never teach you is to discover what lies at the core of your being. And many people seeking a spiritual enlightening path often take LSD acid trips or ayahuasca trips or DMT trips or shroom trips or whatever trip it is to kind of numb the ego so they could have an ego death, have a dark night of the soul, have an ego collapse, a collapsing of the ego, so that they can get to the core of their being, discover what is at the core of their being that will help them on life's journey. Religion will never do that. Only cowards who are afraid of hell and want people telling them what to do, bossing them around, pushing them around, join religion. And then they think that they can decide for you as well. They follow the leader, you should too. No, you don't decide for me. You can't decide for me. Many women in my family of birth are like that. And a couple of my most recently ex-colleagues are like that too, and I don't like them. I have a problem with them. And those ones are marked as my enemies because of the way they are, because of what's in their bitter, nasty hearts. And because I don't think like that, and I would never allow myself to treat others like that, to behave in a way that is less than being human. So if they are incontinent and lack self-control and they are willing to treat themselves, first of all, like that, and then me by extension, I will not allow them. I have such a strong sense of self-worth that I will not allow them to treat me like that, nor will I allow them. If they want to treat themselves like that, I will respect their rights to behave and to treat themselves in a way that's less than human, as far away from me as possible. But I will not subject myself to the witness of their incontinence. So if they show me who they are, that's their spirits. That is their character. It's a character issue. They could always be sorry all they want, but they're going to come back and do it some other time because it's their character. They can't change the core of their being. It's not my place to try and change them. It is my place to leave them to their own devices and to ensure the maximum possible evolution of my own being. And if there's going to be a problem, make sure that there's a great divide, a river that stands between us for which they can't have access. That we are cut off forever. All I can do is live by example. Teach them by example, hoping that they'll follow. That's all I can do. I can't actually actively try and change them. Nor should they actively try and change me either. So that's why I say that religious people are cowards. Most of them are cowards, and they joined religion during a time of extreme vulnerability and fearfulness, and they're still cowards. They haven't changed. They wanted to be safe. They wanted safety, nothing wrong with that. But they're willing to follow the rules and to force others around them to follow the rules and be controlled by who they respect and who they think should be in charge. Even if it's a crazy person who's immoral, they would rather let that person give that person all the power over everybody else in town just so they could selfishly be safe. But wouldn't you rather freedom than safety? To find your own path? I'm not saying you can't be safe now, I'm simply saying, wouldn't freedom be a top priority more than safety? Of course, you want the basic essentials for a functional human existence so you don't fall apart. Of course, you want food. Excuse me. Of course, you want food, clothes, shelter, and transportation. Of course, you want to be safe. Of course, you want a cool, dark place to get 8 hours of rest per night, a nice soft mattress, something. Of course, you want that. Of course, you want a clean environment so you don't get sick. Of course, you want a clean fridge to store your food in so you don't get sick and so you could keep getting nourished. Of course, you want safety. All those things are safety. All I'm saying is that your freedom should also be such a high priority on your list that you shouldn't acquire that safety at the expense of your freedom. So, religion wants to acquire the basic essentials that make us safe as vulnerable humans at the expense of um, their freedom. And they are so pompous that they think that they can make that same decision for other people as well. The people, on the other hand, who are following a more spiritual path of freedom, they have placed such a high priority on their freedom that even though they recognize a need for safety and earthly provisions, their spiritual provisions ought not be neglected, and their spiritual provisions cannot thrive without their freedom. They know that, they understand that. So, religion is designed for those who are afraid of hell and pastor and police and president and everybody else who have so called power in this world, and the people following their own internal sense of spiritual consciousness have already been to hell and back. We'll take a break right here. When we come back, we'll be taking your calls here on this program, and I hope you join me then. Keep it locked on Frank and Upfront. Welcome back to Frank and Upfront Live, an audiophile for audiophiles. This week's topic: religion was designed to block you from your spiritual awakening. In this segment, we'll be taking your calls here on this program, and the rules for calling the show. Well, right now we're almost at the end. We have about 20 minutes left, so about 10 minutes each, we could get 2 callers in. So I ask that you keep it short and try not to ramble, and stick to the topic to the best of your abilities. But I will also entertain any other goals you may have as well. All right, so while I wait for callers to call the show, I am going to emphasize that spirituality is a more personal journey than religion. It is also a braver journey. And as I'm sure we know in life, the higher the stakes, the greater the reward. The higher the stakes, the greater the rewards. So, if you take the easier path, you can't get mad when you have a flat gasm. And you could have had a nice, luscious, juicy orgasm. You see what I mean? So, one must decide for oneself how satisfied they wish to be at the end of their journey. You mustn't allow others to decide for you. One must decide for his or her self. If you are born into an Orthodox Jewish family or a Christian family or Buddhist or whatever it is that you're born into, when you come of age, you must decide for yourself your own path. Many of the people from your background will still see you as a little kid, and even though they'll try to deny it, it will show in other ways that they treat you or try to treat you. The best way to make sure that they know that you're a man and that they respect you is to cut them off if they won't comply. Cut them off. I tell you something. Give them an ultimatum. Respect the path I choose or lose me forever. Make them respect you. They respect you by will or they respect you by force. Respect the path that I have chosen as a grown man without your input or your anything. Or risk losing me forever. Because when they try and give you all these opinions or whatever it is and treat you like you can't decide for yourself, all they're doing is showing up their ignorance because you probably know more than them. You probably know more than them. At a certain point, you probably surpass them, and that's what they're probably afraid of. So even if they know that you're grown, they can't handle it, their egos can't handle it. They always want to make you see yourself as a little kid forever. Nah, those days are over. Those days are over. They have to respect that. They have to get along with the passage of time. We won't be small forever, and they won't be young forever. And if they can't get along with it, then, you know, I guess they're ignorant or unawakened or they're low lives or whatever it is. And they're going to have to find their own path in life instead of being worried about yours. Here's a very good code to live by in life. Everybody put their blinders on and mind their business. Nobody needs help. You trying to help somebody is a distraction from your own problems. And oftentimes, your business is spoiling and oftentimes serves you right because you should have had your blinders on. So, rule of thumb in life, put your blinders on and everybody mind their business. Nobody needs help except their own help. Let everybody find their own path in life and respect everybody's sovereignty. And once again, the dog is in agreement with me. So, religious dogma is all about control, and religious minded people are often looking for people to convince that they have so much original sin that they cannot be trusted with self sovereignty, and therefore they need to be lorded over. It's a scam, it's gaslighting. Don't buy into it. It is a scam. Don't buy into it at all. You as an individual, do not have more original sin than them, and they do not have more, or for that matter, less original sin than you. You don't have more than them, they don't have more than you. So, who are they to judge and try and control you? Let them work on themselves. Once again, if you take nothing else from this program, then the only rule of thumb to consider, everybody put their blinders on and mind their business, and nobody needs help unless they ask you. And if when someone asks you for help, when they finally ask you for help now, or they ask somebody else for help, and the person who was offering their help in the first place get really butthurt and talk about, you didn't want my help before, now you want it? Well, fuck you. Well, fuck them. Ask somebody else for help. And if they want to go over there now and insist that that person should have helped you either, well, listen, you know you have this thing called a restraining order when somebody's being mischievous or they're breaking the law to criminal extent. You have this thing called a restraining order. They shouldn't try and impede you because they're butthurt because you didn't want their help at first. Now you want help. And you know they're going to just rebuff you. So you go to somebody else for help and they're trying to convince them that you didn't want help before, so you don't deserve it now. That's someone trying to control you. If they do that, it's a very good example of someone trying to control you and gaslight you. And all they're doing is proving that they are the villains of your story. That's all they're doing. So once again, remember the restraining order because people are fucked up out here in the world. And they're always in their feelings or whatnot. So, but then again, the best thing to do at that point is to stay on the path of self-discovery. Oh yes, and when you do that, you will meet allies along the way who are like-minded, who are on a similar journey. They are your allies. Stick with them. I'm not saying you can't interact with the world when necessary. How else will you meet new people? But stick with the ones who are of kindred or like souls. who are similar to yourself, mind, body, and soul, mind and soul at least. Physically, you might look different, but mind and soul, you are similar, not the same. You still have your individuality, but you're similar. Find your tribe. The universe will smile upon you and send you your tribe once you are true to yourself and on your own internal path of internal spiritual consciousness. Okay, so we have about 12, 13 minutes left. If you want to call the show, now's a good time. If not, I think I'm going to end it right here. All right, no callers. I want to thank Unfiltered Truth and Crazy Lady for entering the live studio today. Thank you for all my listeners. Next week's topic, paparazzi are not real journalists. I hope you join me then. I am Mr. Franklin. This has been Frank and Upfront.